on the fit and proper criteria, then the MAS may refuse the person's applications, right? Or revoke the person's authorization or exemption, or take other appropriate regulatory measures, regulatory action, as may be applicable or necessary, right? So again, this may refer to sanctions, refer to the issuance of prohibition orders and the like, right? If the application has been granted and subsequently the applicant or the persons, the natural persons running the company, or the financial advisor representatives or any employees, all right, infringe the fit and proper criteria. Now 3.5 says categorically that this is a general guidance and not intended to be comprehensive or replace or override any law in this regard, right? So the fit and proper criteria must be read in conjunction with the provisions of other relevant law or other relevant legislations. Now let's go into the details now in this guideline. We have spoken a lot about the fit and proper criteria in the program. Now let's come down to the key things. What tests, right? What tests will the MAS consider in determining whether a relevant person is a fit and proper person, right? So here it says at A3.6, right, that the criteria for considering whether a person is fit and proper include but are not limited to the following. All right, so the ambit is very broad, right? There may be other things coming in. So they give you three criteria. All right, the test has three parts. 1, honesty, integrity, and reputation. All right, so there are three items there: whether that person is honest, whether that person has integrity, and the person's reputation. So that's the first test, right? The first set of criteria. Now the second test is competence and capability, right? So whether that person is competent and has the capability to discharge the role and functions as expected, right? And thirdly, under A3.6C, financial soundness. All right, so those are the three components of the fit and proper test. Honesty, integrity, reputation, 1. 2, competence and capability. 3, financial soundness. Right. Now following there, the guideline gives you the whole works, all right, the whole list for the applicant or the financial advisor representative to understand how the MAS is going to determine whether a relevant person is fit and proper. Now, before I go into the details, I just want to look at paragraph 3.7. The MAS is actually fairly balanced approach, as I've said earlier. Now, 3.7 reads, the failure by a relevant person to meet any one of the criteria as set out in the paragraph above may not lead to an automatic refusal of an application for a license. All right, so that's 1. Refusal to enter his name or any additional refusal to enter his name into the register, right? The public register of representatives, which we have talked about, or enter any additional regulated activity or financial advisory services in the public register of representatives. All right, so there is some open ground there. If you fail to meet any one of those, it may not necessarily lead to an automatic refusal. All right, in terms of application or refusal to enter the name of the financial advisor representative in the public register, or to add on any regulated activity or the financial advisory services, as the case may be, or the revocation of an authorization, or the revocation of the status of an appointed provisional or temporary representative, or the withdrawal of an exemption or other regulatory action by the MAS. Right? the significance and relevance of a relevant person failing to satisfy the MAS that it or he or she meets a specific criteria depends on A, the seriousness of and surrounding circumstances resulting in the relevant person not meeting the specific criteria. Right? So this is how MAS is going to look at it. If a person, applicant or a representative or an employee or an agent, right? If you cannot meet the three components or even all the components, then it does not mean that MAS will automatically act on it, all right? As I read to you earlier under 3.7. So it all depends on the seriousness of and the surrounding circumstances resulting in the failure of that person to meet that specific criteria, right? There could be other reasons, so the MAS is prepared to look at it. The relevance of the failure by the relevant person to meet the specific criteria to the duties that are to be performed and the responsibilities that are to be assumed by the relevant person. And then the third point, the passage of time since the failure by the relevant person to meet the specific criteria. Was it a long time ago? Right? Was it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago? So the passage of time where the relevant person failed to meet a specific criteria. Right? We will go into that a bit later on, right? In terms of the guidelines given under this fit and proper test. Right? And 3.8 talks about a financial institution where the relevant person is a financial advisor corporation or a financial institution. Then the institution has the onus of responsibility to satisfy the MAS, or its substantial shareholders, right? Now, substantial shareholders are the people that controls the company, right? Right? They have the votes, the voting power, right, to determine who goes onto the board and who are appointed as senior management, right? So substantial shareholders are actually the beneficial owners of the company, right? So they have a lot of power, they have a lot of authority through their shareholdings. All right. So if the relevant person is an institution, then the substantial shareholders must meet the fit and proper criteria of the guidelines. Okay. Each of the directors, CEO, or equivalent persons meet the fit and proper criteria. All right. That means to say you must hire the correct CEO, the correct directors. Now, this may include the independent directors as well. All right. So all the directors of the board must meet the fit and proper criteria. And as far as I know, there are very stringent criteria, all right, for people to be able to sit on the board of listed companies or catalyst companies, all right, or in that regard, any financial institution, right? And it has in place recruitment procedures, recruitment policies, etc., all right, to ensure that persons that are hired, all right, persons that are being employed meet the fit and proper criteria as well. Okay. Now 3.9 talk about exempt financial institution. The similar law applies, the similar rules apply.